Chang Ho was a third-rate lawyer with only a 10% win rate. People called him Big Mouth because he ran his mouth without the skills to back it up. His failing career left him drowning in debt, forcing him and his wife to crash at her father's place. One day, Chang Ho finally got a big case about crypto fraud. Before he left, Mi-ho warned him that if he lost the case, he shouldn't even think about coming into her house. To win, Chang Ho bribed the judge in advance, but right before the trial, he was shocked to find that the judge had been replaced. As expected, he lost again. When Mi-ho heard the news, she erupted in fury, screaming that she wanted a divorce. Terrified, Chang Ho didn't dare go home, so he asked his father-in-law to take his luggage out secretly. Just then, he got a call that would change his life. Late at night, Chang Ho drove to a remote area to meet the mayor. Choi asked him to take over a high-profile murder case at Gucheon Hospital. Recently, there was a car crash, and a professor's body was found in the trunk. Dr. Han, Attorney Lee, and Chaebol Air-young were arrested on the spot. Their legal team had already planned out their own trial. They just needed an incompetent and obedient lawyer to wrap things up. Chang Ho refused, because he was worried the case would drag him into big trouble. Choi revealed that the dashcam footage was missing. If they found it, they could discover who really killed Professor Seo. In fact, Choi didn't want to help the three powerful guys. He planned to cut them off entirely through this. Driven by justice, Chang Ho accepted the offer. Even though the three suspects were in prison, they lived like kings. Even Warden Park treated them with care. The three VIPs were pleased with Chang Ho's terrible resume. To them, he was the perfect frontman. Suddenly, Mayor Choi called, saying someone had anonymously sent the dashcam video to the police. Actually, this was all part of Chang Ho's plan. Before leaving, he threw a bugged cup into the trash. Later, through the VIP's conversations, Chang Ho learned they had given the dashcam video to Dr. Han's wife. Moreover, it seemed they had another accomplice. Chang Ho quickly reported this to Mayor Choi. But when they found Han's wife, she had already been attacked. After she woke up, Chang Ho asked about the dashcam video. Ms. Jang insisted she knew nothing. Chang Ho played the recording and told her hiding murder evidence could get her 3 years in jail. Cornered, Ms. Jang gave him the memory card and revealed the other accomplice was Ji-hoon, the president of a newspaper. Back at his office, Chang Ho watched the footage. In the video, the three guys threatened Professor Seo to withdraw his paper. Before dying, Seo yelled that the truth would definitely come to light. This sparked Chang Ho's curiosity. What was in that paper? And who was Ji-hoon really? But before he could dig deeper, debt collectors stormed his home, seizing any personal property. Chang Ho, trapped in deep trouble, suddenly got a dangerous idea. He secretly met with Ji-hoon, trying to threaten him into buying the video for 3 billion won. But Ji-hoon didn't take him seriously. Chang Ho warned he would release the video and destroy Ji-hoon's life completely. Ji-hoon just laughed, saying in the end he might not be the one getting hurt. Furious, Chang Ho stormed off. He decided to hand the evidence straight to the prosecutor. That night, he treated his family to a lavish dinner. Soon after, he got a call from the prosecutor and had to leave early. A kind waitress gave him a free cup of coffee, but the drink was drugged. Chang Ho started feeling dizzy and eventually crashed his car. In a coma, he dreamed about the first time he met his wife. He was jolted awake only when Mi-ho said she wanted a divorce. At the same time, someone stole the dashcam's memory card. To make matters worse, just as Chang Ho was about to leave the hospital, the police arrested him. His blood tested positive for drugs, and in his office they found huge amounts of drugs, cash, and gold bars. Mi-ho told him to stay alert and never give up hope no matter what. Her words helped Chang Ho calm down. He guessed this was Ji-hoon's revenge and tried to ask Mayor Choi for help. When Choi learned Chang Ho had secretly met Ji-hoon, he got furious and refused to offer any help. Chang Ho was sent to prison, full of dangerous criminals. The three VIPs were angry that Chang Ho had betrayed them and made a deal with Ji-hoon. They decided to kill him. Unexpectedly, news broke that Chang Ho was the notorious conman Big Mouse who scammed 290 billion won. Ji-hoon quickly called Warden Park and told him to keep Chang-ho alive. Big Mouse had stolen their money, and if Chang-ho died, they'd never get it back. Thanks to doctors' efforts, Chang-ho miraculously survived. He curled up in the corner of the cell, lost in despair. Suddenly he heard his wife's voice on the TV. Miho told him the guards wouldn't let her visit him, but she and her father would fight to prove his innocence. Hearing this, Chang-ho burst into tears. Soon after, a prosecutor interrogated Chang-ho, trying to confirm if he was Big Mouse. He even used a lie detector, but Chang-ho kept saying he was innocent. Watching the news loop on the screen, Chang-ho sighed bitterly. He never imagined he'd become famous this way. Even his cellmate Jerry claimed to be his huge fan. No matter what Chang-ho explained, everyone believed he was Big Mouse. Meanwhile, Ji-hoon visited his friends and warned them not to mess with Big Mouse. He had to find his 100 billion won first. Warden Park listened in with interest and found the situation quite amusing. One side needed to kill Big Mouse to live, but the other side couldn't kill him because of money. In no time, Chang-ho became the hottest topic in prison. All the prisoners were wary of him and didn't dare mess with the new guy. But a notorious gang leader Jang didn't care. He used force to warn Chang-ho not to act tough. Warden Park saw this and immediately sent guards to rescue Chang-ho. Then he treated Chang-ho to a fancy meal, trying to find out if he was Big Mouse. Chang-ho let his guard down and insisted he wasn't. Park's face changed, and he threw Chang-ho into solitary. Chang-ho lay helpless on the floor, missing his wife deeply. Miho missed him just as much, so she applied to be a nurse at Gucheon Hospital, hoping to find out what Professor Seo wrote in his paper. Coincidentally, the hospital director was Mayor Choi's wife, Ms. Hyun. Chang-ho's friend Soon-tae quickly told him that his wife had taken action. To keep Miho out of danger, Chang-ho decided to divorce her. He planned to reveal all Evil Guy's crimes in his suicide note and prove his innocence through death. Room leader guessed Chang-ho's intention and warned him not to try. If he failed, he'd suffer with a disability for the rest of his life. Chang-ho fell into despair again. Looking at the ruthless criminals, he suddenly came up with an idea. He deliberately provoked Leader Jang, begging him to kill him. But unexpectedly, he knocked Jang unconscious with just one punch. Chang-ho set his sights on a psychopathic serial killer. However, when Chang-ho mentioned his mother, the killer immediately broke down in tears. This made the prisoners even more convinced that Chang-ho was Big Mouse, as only a notorious criminal like him would have the courage to fight anyone. That night, Chang-ho pretended to escape so the guards would shoot him. Once Warden Park identified the escapee, he quickly ordered the sniper to stop. In the end, Chang-ho was thrown back into solitary confinement. Meanwhile, Miho successfully got a job at Gucheon Hospital but faced hostility from her colleagues. Still, she quickly adapted to her new environment. One day, a cancer patient's heart stopped. Miho immediately performed CPR and saved him. However, the director didn't praise her. Instead, she scolded her. It turned out all patients on that floor had signed a consent form to forego CPR, meaning no action was to be taken if they went into cardiac arrest. Miho was shocked. She immediately informed her father and Chang-ho's friend about her discovery. The three speculated that it must be connected to Professor Seo's mysterious paper. Later, Soon-tae handed Miho the divorce papers and conveyed Chang-ho's message. Miho angrily tore up the papers. The next day, she visited Chang-ho in prison and told him she would never divorce him. If anything happened to him in prison, she would follow him in death. Chang-ho, tearful, hugged her tightly. However, life in prison was harsh. Leader Jang bribed a prisoner to kill Chang-ho. During yard time, the prisoner quietly approached Chang-ho with a weapon. Chang-ho narrowly avoided the attack and wrestled with him. At the critical moment, guards intervened to stop the fight. After treating his wounds, Chang-ho went to Warden Park's office. Park claimed he never believed Chang-ho was Big Mouse, but Ji-hoon's persistence kept him alive. Once the secret was revealed, Chang-ho's wife and father-in-law would be in danger. Park added that as long as Chang-ho paid him monthly, everyone would remain safe. Chang-ho lost his temper. He declared he was Big Mouse and warned Park not to touch his wife. Enraged, Park immediately punished him by making him clean the sewers. Even the food brought by the guards was disgusting. Chang-ho began to accept his role as Big Mouse and started a riot. The prisoners grabbed buckets of feces and used them to attack the guards. As the situation escalated, Warden Park had to intervene to stop them. Chang-ho warned Park that if he continued to treat him this way, his family would pay the price. In the end, Park relented, allowing the prisoners better food. Later, Chang-ho was once again locked in solitary. He remembered a quote from psychologist Carl Jung: "The human ego wore masks according to the situation." So from now on, he was Big Mouse. Chang-ho asked Jerry to notify everyone in the prison that he would fulfill their wishes. However, only 3 people applied. One was room leader, who asked Chang-ho to help find his missing daughter. Despite searching everywhere, he found no clues until a traffic accident forced him into prison. Then, the serial killer requested Chang-ho save his mother, who was severely ill and needed treatment. Chang-ho wrote down all their requests. The 3 VIPs were unhappy that Chang-ho was about to become the prison's top dog. They decided to teach him a lesson. Warden Park didn't want to get involved, but they bribed him with a large sum of money, asking him to turn a blind eye. Soon, the VIPs gathered some prisoners for the task. The guards locked them in an area with Chang-ho's team, and a fierce fight broke out. The serial killer drew a knife and approached Chang-ho. It turned out he had been a mole planted all along. Room leader blocked him just in time, protecting Chang-ho. Warden Park had to send in the suppression team to stop the fight. If things escalated, he couldn't handle the consequences. At the hospital, a woman sought Miho's help. She claimed the doctor refused to treat her husband and wouldn't let them transfer him. Suddenly, the head nurse appeared, and the woman quickly fled. Miho soon got into more trouble. She injected a patient with 2 milligrams of medicine, but the head nurse scolded her because the prescription only called for 1 milligram. Miho argued that someone had tampered with the data. Earlier, she had taken a screenshot as proof. Miho didn't want to stay passive and decided to take action. She publicly claimed to have read Professor Seo's paper. Sure enough, on her way home, Miho felt uneasy, sensing someone was following her. Luckily, her father appeared just in time to ensure her safety. Just then, Mayor Choi called and asked to meet her. Upon meeting, he immediately inquired about the paper. Miho said it was a trap she set and begged him to help find the real paper. Choi's expression changed, and he said he had no obligation to help. Miho suspected Ms. Hyun knew the truth, but Choi strongly denied it, claiming no one understood his wife better than he did. In the prison, Chang-ho visited his savior. Everything seemed to be going in his favor. One of the prisoners who had attacked him died in solitary confinement. Warden Park suspected Big Mouse had killed him, but Chang-ho knew nothing about it. He was curious about who the killer was. Meanwhile, the remaining attackers shouted for the guards to release them. They feared they might be Big Mouse's next targets. However, while having lunch, Chang-ho simply glanced at the attackers, and they collapsed to the ground one after another, losing consciousness. Chang-ho was shocked. He suspected the real Big Mouse was right beside him. Soon, Ji-hoon came to the prison again, demanding Chang-ho give him the money, but Chang-ho refused. Ji-hoon started doubting if the money was in his hands. He ordered Chang-ho to name the 5 drug clients who had dealt with Big Mouse. Chang-ho cleverly responded, saying he needed to protect his client's privacy. Ji-hoon threatened to kill him if he didn't hand over the list by the weekend. Left with no choice, Chang-ho attacked a guard. He quickly called Mayor Choi and asked for the names. Not long ago, Choi had received the list from the prosecutor, but he refused to help Chang-ho. After an investigation, it was found that both dead inmates had taken cyanide. Guards immediately searched Chang-ho's cell, but found nothing suspicious. Warden Park still didn't believe Chang-ho was Big Mouse and warned him not to overestimate himself. He said he looked forward to the weekend. If Chang-ho couldn't provide the list, he would die a horrible death. Meanwhile, Miho noticed a mysterious person following her. She quickly texted her father for help. Mr. Go and Chang-ho's friend arrived, capturing the man and handcuffing him. Miho immediately recognized him as Mayor Choi's secretary. Soon, Choi visited in person, trying to clear up the misunderstanding. He claimed he had sent his secretary to follow her out of concern because she had mentioned Professor Seo's paper. He then handed her a list with the names of Big Mouse's 5 drug clients. The next day, Miho went to the prison and gave the list to her husband. With Mayor Choi's help, Chang-ho felt confident. However, they didn't realize it was all a trap set by Ji-hoon. He had faked the list and purposely leaked it to Mayor Choi through the prosecutor. Soon, the news of a showdown between Big Mouse and the 3 VIPs spread through the prison. Prisoners started betting on who would win. Guards tried to stop the gambling frenzy, but Chang-ho confronted the 3 VIPs, claiming he could prove he was Big Mouse. Jung thought Chang-ho was digging his own grave and bet 300 million won that he would lose. Meanwhile, Mayor Choi and Ji-hoon met in a gallery. Ji-hoon revealed that the list Choi had was fake. He was curious if Chang-ho would mention any strange names to prove he was the fake Big Mouse. Choi quickly contacted Warden Park, but he hung up the phone without hesitation. Soon, guards brought Chang-ho out of his cell. All the prisoners cheered him on. Just then, Mayor Choi arrived in a hurry, wanting to talk to Chang-ho. But Warden Park wouldn't allow it and forcibly took Chang-ho away. Choi had no choice but to silently hope for a miracle. Park gave them 2 blank sheets and asked them to write the names of Big Mouse's top 5 drug clients. Ji-hoon was full of confidence, certain that Chang-ho would lose. But when he opened the papers, he was shocked to see both lists were identical. The prisoners cheered in joy when they learned the result, because they had won the bet. However, Ji-hoon still had a backup plan. He confidently revealed that Peter Hong had been arrested and that he would identify whether Chang-ho was truly Big Mouse. Peter was a fund manager responsible for managing private equity funds. But one day, Big Mouse abandoned him and transferred all the money. Soon, Chang-ho was brought to the interrogation room. The moment Peter saw his face clearly, an alarm clock rang. He hurriedly injected himself with insulin, but suddenly collapsed and died. After the plan failed, Ji-hoon tried to pressure Chang-ho's wife. He mentioned Professor Seo's paper and offered a high price to buy it. But Miho refused to deal with him. She threatened to use the paper to find the real killer of Professor Seo and save her husband. In prison, Chang-ho received the 300 million won he won from the bet. He gave Warden Park extra money to stop restricting his movements. Soon, Chang-ho became the king of the prison. Even Leader Jang, who once looked down on him, now respected him. He used this opportunity to recruit Leader Jang into his side. Chang-ho then confronted the 3 VIPs and ordered them to confess in court voluntarily. Otherwise, they would pay a heavy price. Unexpectedly, retribution came swiftly. After drinking wine, Lee hallucinated and saw Chang-ho digging out his heart. Jung was hit with a bucket of water while in the restroom, then electrocuted. Only then did the 3 truly begin to fear Chang-ho. They begged Ji-hoon to bail them out as soon as possible. However, Ji-hoon found himself in trouble too. His wife called, saying someone had sent her 34 funeral chrysanthemums. It was clearly Chang-ho warning Ji-hoon to stop bothering his wife. Later, Chang-ho captured Han, one of the VIPs. He said he had seen the video. Han was driving at the time and was not involved in Professor Seo's murder, so he wouldn't be convicted of murder. Chang-ho advised him to tell the truth in court, but Han remained silent. Eventually, on the brink of death, he agreed to follow Chang-ho's instructions. Late at night, Miho noticed the head nurse secretly drawing blood from patients. She followed the nurse to a storage room. Suddenly, the director and a guard appeared, ordering Miho to come out immediately. They had seen her on the surveillance cameras. Miho explained she was fetching medical supplies. Ms. Hyun ordered her to leave immediately and warned the guard never to let anyone near the secret room. The guard said the previous director had said the same thing. After work, Miho met Mayor Choi again. Choi told her that her husband had been deceiving everyone because he was the real Big Mouse. Miho didn't believe him. Choi explained that the list he gave Chang-ho was fake, but Chang-ho revealed the real one. Even the only fund manager who had met Big Mouse was poisoned. To uncover the truth, Miho joined the prison's medical volunteer team. This gave her the chance to meet her husband alone. However, when facing Chang Ho's enthusiasm, she coldly asked if he was truly Big Mouse. Chang Ho noticed Warden Park was watching them. He then took Miho to a place where they couldn't be overheard and revealed the truth. The day before his confrontation with Ji-hoon, Chang Ho was attacked from behind. When his cellmate Jerry woke him up, he found a tarot card in his pocket with 5 names written on it. At first, he suspected it was a trick, but when he saw Mayor Choi's worried expression, he knew the list was real. From that day on, the real Big Mouse began communicating with him through tarot cards. Meanwhile, Han also had the chance to meet with his wife alone. But Ms. Jang tried to escape his embrace. Han believed his wife was cheating and violently beat her. Miho noticed the bruise on Ms. Jang's neck and offered her help, but Ms. Jang rejected it and advised her to worry about her own husband. After work, Miho received a call from a patient's relative she had met at the hospital. The woman revealed that Professor Seo's paper was hidden in a cross necklace. It turned out she was a jewelry designer. Professor Seo had asked her to design a necklace that could hide something. Just as the woman tried to reveal more details, a mysterious figure pushed her off the rooftop. Miho recalled that the director always wore a cross necklace. So, she went to the director and demanded the necklace, claiming that Professor Seo's paper was hidden inside. Ms. Hyun handed her the necklace without hesitation. Miho carefully inspected it, but found nothing. At home, Miho watched the column video that woman had watched at the hospital. It showed that Ms. Jang wore a necklace with a cross symbol, the one Miho had been looking for. She was curious as to why Professor Seo's paper was with Ms. Jang. The story flashed back to a night years ago. Ms. Jang, covered in bruises, ran into Professor Seo and begged him for help, as she had been abused by her husband. Professor Seo, feeling sorry for this poor woman, gradually fell in love with her. He even gave her a cross necklace as a token of their love. Now, thinking of her lover's tragic death, Ms. Jang couldn't help but cry. In prison, 3 VIPs were about to be taken to court. Chang Ho warned them that even attending the trial wouldn't guarantee bail. Young scoffed, saying he already knew Chang Ho had instructed Han to confess. It was Leader Zhang who had leaked their plan. Warden Park immediately ordered his men to lock Han in solitary confinement. After everyone left, Chang Ho suddenly laughed. It turned out that everything had been a trap set by him and Leader Zhang. Then, Chang Ho's followers pretended to clash with Leader Zhang's gang. They deliberately broke the statue of the Virgin Mary. Chang Ho's real goal was to capture Big Mouse. He planned to install a camera on the new statue so that he could see who went to the church to communicate with him using tarot cards. In the hospital, another cancer patient passed away. Miho went to the funeral, trying to find some clues. She accidentally overheard the family talking about the do not resuscitate form that stated the deceased must be cremated and no autopsy could be performed. This made Miho's suspicions. She suspected the cancer patients' bodies held hidden secrets. That night, Miho secretly sneaked into the morgue and extracted a blood sample from the deceased's body. Just as she was about to leave, the director suddenly appeared and ordered the nurses to search her. But Miho was clever and left no trace behind. Later that night, she secretly returned to the morgue to retrieve the blood sample. Then she quickly took the elevator to escape. Suddenly, a loud crash was heard, and a man in black leaped down from the above, attempting to kill Miho. At that moment, the elevator stopped on a floor where Mayor Choi was standing outside. He immediately fought with the man in black and saved Miho's life. Later, under Choi's escort, Miho successfully sent the sample to the National Forensic Service for testing. Meanwhile, in prison, Chang Ho intentionally slipped a tarot card into the Bible, waiting for the real Big Mouse to take the bait. When he opened the Bible the next day, the tarot card had disappeared. He then went to the statue of the Virgin Mary and took the memory card out. To his surprise, the footage showed his cellmate Jerry. Chang Ho suddenly realized that Jerry was always by his side, no matter where or when. He was the prime suspect. However, when confronted, Jerry swore on his life that he had only glanced at the tarot card but hadn't taken it. Seeing Jerry's innocent eyes, Chang Ho began to doubt, feeling that Jerry didn't seem like Big Mouse. He reviewed the surveillance footage but discovered it had been edited. Just then, Miho called, telling him she had received 33 chrysanthemums. Chang-ho thought it was Ji-hoon's revenge until Miho showed him a tarot card. It was a warning card, meaning Big Mouse had realized that Chang-ho was searching for him. After learning that Chang-ho was a fake, Jerry completely changed his attitude and started to distance himself from him. Meanwhile, Ji-hoon approached Jerry with ill intentions. He promised that if Jerry made Chang-ho drink a poisoned beverage, he would bail him out. Jerry complied, but soon regretted his actions. He hurriedly told Miho that her husband's condition was critical. Fortunately, Chang-ho was rescued in time and survived. Grateful, Miho gave Jerry some money, but it only deepened his guilt toward Chang-ho. As Chang-ho fell into a coma, a guard secretly took his finger and pressed it on a document. He then went to the parking lot and handed the document to Ji-hoon. Soon after, Chang-ho woke up. After spending a warm night with his wife, he was about to be sent back to prison. On the way, Chang-ho suddenly realized the car was not heading toward the prison. He tried to resist, but was injected with a sedative. In his unconscious state, Chang-ho dreamt that he had caught Big Mouse, but the person was wearing a mask. The two struggled fiercely. Chang-ho managed to remove the mask, but saw his own face. He was instantly awakened, only to find himself in a white room. It was a mental hospital. Chang-ho struggled desperately to break free, but was injected with another sedative. In the following days, he was deprived of food and sleep until he mentally broke down. This was the only way the truth serum could work effectively, forcing him to reveal all the truths. Soon, Chang-ho began hallucinating, seeing the room filled with rats. Fear tortured him until he was exhausted. Ji-hoon took the opportunity to ask where Chang-ho had hidden the 100 billion won. In a daze, Chang-ho confessed that he didn't know and even revealed that he wasn't actually Big Mouse. The prosecutor thought he was lying and believed his mental strength was beyond what was humanly possible. Chang-ho fell into a dream again, reliving the first time he met his wife. When he woke up, Ji-hoon was about to inject him with a second truth serum. The prosecutor warned that it could cause cardiac arrest, but Ji-hoon didn't care. To stall for time, Chang-ho casually mentioned a mountain he had visited with his wife. Ji-hoon immediately took his friends there and found a wooden box, but it only contained a gold bar. Furious, Ji-hoon returned to the asylum and demanded Chang-ho reveal the location of the remaining gold bars. Chang-ho realized Big Mouse had been eavesdropping on their conversation. He stopped fearing and quietly waited for rescue. Soon, a fire broke out in the asylum. Chang-ho took the chance to attack the nurse and escape, but he didn't expect the man was a skilled fighter. Just as he was on the brink of death, a firefighter stepped in to help. It was Jerry. He quickly helped Chang-ho out of the hospital and gave him a car key. Chang-ho demanded to know what was happening. Jerry had no time to explain, but admitted he was paid by Big Mouse to rescue him. With that, he ran off alone to distract the pursuers. Chang-ho quickly got into the designated car and changed clothes. Not long after, Jerry was intercepted by a group of men in black. He tried to flee, but was severely injured. Chang-ho saw it happen, but could do nothing, only fleeing the scene quickly. The police soon issued a warrant for Chang-ho for escaping prison. His mind went blank, as he had no idea where to go. At that moment, Big Mouse sent a hotel address. On the way, Chang-ho encountered a police checkpoint. Unable to reverse, he had to drive forward, ready to escape at any moment. Unexpectedly, after checking his photo, the police allowed him to pass. It was clear the officer was also working for Big Mouse. At the hotel, Big Mouse had prepared everything for Chang-ho. Recalling Jerry's tragic fate, Chang-ho refused to be used any longer and vowed to fight back. The next day, Miho met Ms. Jang and decided to work together to uncover the truth behind Professor Seo's death. They leaked some clues to a program with 800,000 subscribers. Then, they protested outside the courthouse, claiming Chang-ho hadn't escaped but had been kidnapped. To cooperate with the investigation, they even handed over their phones. When Chang-ho saw the news, he immediately understood his wife's intentions. Soon after, Miho noticed an ad on the big screen. It was the same words Chang-ho had said during their proposal. She immediately called the number on the ad and finally contacted Chang-ho. He told her he was standing on the building across the street. After hearing that Ms. Jang was willing to cooperate, Chang-ho decided to expose everyone, even Big Mouse. Ms. Jang called Ji-hoon and admitted she had the paper. In exchange, she wanted Han to sign the divorce papers. Otherwise, she would give the paper to Big Mouse. In reality, this was a trap set by Ms. Jang and Chang-ho, but Han refused to divorce because he loved his wife too much. Soon after, 3 powerful criminals attended the trial while Chang-ho started a live stream as Big Mouse. He predicted the court would acquit today. This was because the prosecutor had already colluded with the 3 criminals. Chang-ho then correctly predicted every argument the prosecutor would make. One of them was about overturning the DNA report. The criminals falsely claimed that their DNA was left on the body while performing CPR on Professor Seo. This was actually the trick Lee had thought of right after the incident. This caused an uproar online. The public began questioning the trial's legitimacy. Ji-hoon found out about this from his secretary. He signaled the prosecutor to immediately request a recess. As the evil guys gathered, Ji-hoon received a call from Ms. Jang. She demanded he meet her at a cafe within 20 minutes. With no other choice, Ji-hoon forced Han to sign the divorce papers and handed them to Ms. Jang. He then threatened her to reveal Big Mouse's whereabouts. After a brief hesitation, Ms. Jang gave him an address to a warehouse. A large number of police rushed to the location, but only found a monitor. The trial resumed, and Chang-ho predicted the judge would acquit the 3 criminals due to lack of evidence. Sure enough, the judge announced the same verdict. The audience erupted in shock. As the 3 left the courtroom, a truck stopped in front of them. The screen continued to show the live stream. Chang-ho revealed that their motive for killing Professor Seo was linked to an unpublished paper he had. He then broadcast a clip of the transaction scene. Under Ms. Jang's manipulation, Ji-hoon admitted that the paper was the motive for the murder, but the paper she gave him wasn't the one he wanted. Just then, the secretary hurriedly informed that there was a camera nearby. In anger, Ji-hoon crushed the camera underfoot, while the 3 criminals stood speechless, unable to defend themselves. At that moment, Chang-ho appeared outside the court. He promised reporters he would expose their crimes, but now he was arrested by the police again. His friend quietly revealed that Jerry wasn't dead and was in the hospital. Chang-ho sighed in relief and asked Soon-tae to pass a thank you letter to Jerry. Soon after, a doctor with a special tattoo on his wrist took the letter. When Jerry woke up, the doctor gave him the letter. However, after reading it, Jerry coldly tore it up. When the prisoners learned Chang-ho had returned to jail, they were thrilled. A few old friends held a small welcome ceremony for him. They also told him about a ghostly disease spreading in the prison. Many prisoners suddenly went mad without warning, even spitting blood and collapsing. At that moment, Ji-hoon visited Chang-ho in prison again. He revealed that he wasn't the accomplice in Professor Seo's murder, but he refused to tell Chang-ho who the real culprit was. Meanwhile, the 3 criminals went to meet the powerful mastermind behind everything. It was the wealthy and influential Chairman Kang. Young said the prosecutors had caught wind of the paper and asked Chairman Kang for help. Just then, Mayor Choi appeared and handed Professor Seo's secret paper to Chairman Kang. Earlier, Choi had secretly met with Ms. Jang and warned her that the paper could endanger her life. He offered to sponsor her expenses abroad if she handed over the paper. In the end, Ms. Jang agreed. Now, Choi told Chairman Kang that there was nothing left in this world to threaten him. This implied that the 3 men standing nearby were useless. They accused Choi of being an accomplice, yet he had been playing them all along. It turned out that night, Choi offered to help them handle the body, but after hanging up, he ordered his secretary to cause a car accident and expose the body. The 3 men yelled they would drag him to hell with them. Choi sneered, saying he had destroyed all evidence. Even if they teamed up to report him, no one would believe them. He added that only if he remained unharmed would they survive. Late at night, Choi entered a secret room where the missing gold bars were stored. He looked at the memory card in his hand and whistled with satisfaction. Now, everything was under his control. In prison, Chang Ho decided to use the paper's clues to force Big Mouse to appear, or he would stop helping. Big Mouse responded with a tarot card, agreeing to meet. Chang Ho anxiously waited in the church, but when he turned around, he was surprised to find Warden Park there. Park claimed to be Big Mouse, but Chang Ho remained suspicious. Park said he killed the prisoners who attacked Chang Ho. He was the only one capable of doing this because he moved freely around the prison. Then he showed a tattoo on his arm. This made Chang Ho even more certain that Park was not Big Mouse because an owner didn't wear a leash. He only put one on his dog. Chang Ho secretly recorded their conversation, seemingly plotting something. Over time, some prisoners began showing strange symptoms. They craved vitamins from Gucheon Hospital. Meanwhile, Ms. Hyun found Miho secretly testing the blood of deceased patients. She didn't want Miho causing more trouble and ordered her to submit her resignation. Although the results were normal, Miho still felt something was off. Before leaving, she noticed blood test reports of the prisoners on the table. She suddenly recalled when she volunteered at the prison, the head nurse had separated blood samples into different boxes. To uncover the truth, Miho sought a job at the prison. At that moment, the serial killer was severely injured in a fight. Miho used her expertise to save his life. Warden Park was impressed and hired her on the spot. Then, the serial killer was sent to the hospital for treatment. Doctors ran tests, but found no abnormalities in his blood. Miho remained suspicious. She secretly took a blood sample from the killer and sent it for further analysis. In prison, Chang Ho contacted Mayor Choi, saying he was about to be interrogated. He planned to reveal important information about Big Mouse and hoped Choi could serve as a witness. Soon after, Choi arrived. Chang Ho wanted to clear up the matter about the poisoned coffee first. Upon hearing this, Choi appeared flustered, as it was all a trap he had carefully designed. His goal was to steal the dashcam's memory card and destroy all the evidence. To change the subject, Choi quickly asked for information about Big Mouse. Chang Ho played a recording of his conversation with Warden Park, which not only proved Chang Ho was not Big Mouse, but also showed that Park was working for Big Mouse. However, the prosecution couldn't arrest Park based solely on an illegal recording. Chang Ho further revealed that Park had been accepting bribes and installing hidden cameras and listening devices. Soon, Park was arrested. He believed it was all revenge by Chang Ho. However, the prosecutor explained that the recording had been submitted by his close acquaintance, Gan. Gan was an informant that Mayor Choi had planted beside Park. Now, he naturally became the new warden. That night, Ms. Hyun drank the drugged coffee. She quickly became disoriented and had an accident. Chang Ho watched the news report and found it familiar. He realized it wasn't just a simple traffic accident. After Ji-hoon revealed he had not been involved in Professor Seo's murder, Chang Ho started suspecting Mayor Choi. Miho rechecked the deceased patient's blood test report and found it had been tampered with. The only person she had interacted with was Mayor Choi. This proved Choi was certainly an accomplice in Professor Seo's murder, so Chang Ho deliberately handed over the recording device, hoping to pit Choi and Big Mouse against each other. The next day, all the prisoners were called to the hall. The new warden announced the abolition of any hierarchy in the prison. He also installed suggestion boxes for anonymous complaints. Then, he declared that everyone would be searched to see if they were hiding weapons. But his real purpose was to check for special tattoo. Earlier, he had decided to work with Chang Ho to find Big Mouse. After a thorough search, they found 3 prisoners with tattoos. Before long, Park was locked up in the prison. To establish his authority, Gan publicly beat the former warden. He then began torturing the prisoners with tattoos, demanding Park reveal who was Big Mouse. Chang Ho intervened in time to stop him. However, Gan couldn't let it go. He called Mayor Choi and falsely claimed that Chang Ho and Park were working together. Upon hearing this, Choi allowed Gan to handle the matter in his own way. Gan called all the prisoners together and revealed Big Mouse's secret tattoo, exposing that Chang Ho was not Big Mouse. Next, everyone's workload would double unless they found the real Big Mouse. The situation quickly spiraled out of control. Leader Zhang immediately intervened, warning everyone not to mess with Chang-ho. Later, Chang-ho clashed with Gan. He planned to seek help from Mayor Choi, but he hung up the phone, citing a meeting. Gan arrogantly declared that he was now the boss of the prison and everyone had to obey him. Meanwhile, Miho received a call from Ms. Jang. It turned out that after obtaining the serial killer's blood sample, she had contacted Ms. Jang for help. Ms. Jang told her that the blood contained traces of drugs and also showed signs of leukemia. Miho recalled that cancer patients at the hospital had similar symptoms, and they all seemed to have experience cleaning the rivers. To get more detailed results, Miho secretly took more blood samples at the prison. Meanwhile, Han learned that his ex-wife was returning to Korea. He waited early at the airport and then followed her all the way to her home. When the devil reappeared before her, Ms. Jang panicked and tried to flee. In desperation, she grabbed a knife and threatened him to stay away. However, Han would rather kill her himself than let her go. Soon, Mayor Choi arrived to handle the body. He checked Ms. Jang's phone and saw the messages from Miho. Prisoners' blood samples. Choi immediately ordered Gan to take action. Gan instructed his trusted guard to eliminate Chang-ho and Miho today. Meanwhile, Chang-ho told Park he wanted to meet the real Big Mouse. This was his final warning. If Big Mouse didn't show up, he would destroy all the plans. That night, Chang-ho arrived early at the agreed location. Suddenly, the lights in the prison went out. In the darkness, Big Mouse approached. Chang-ho lit a lighter and was shocked to find that Big Mouse was room leader. The first thing Chang-ho wanted to know was why Big Mouse chose him. Big Mouse explained that Chang-ho was destined to die at the hands of those evil people, but someone had insisted on saving him. The only way was to turn him into a fake Big Mouse. Chang-ho was curious why he was obsessed with Professor Seo's paper. Big Mouse said he needed to find the people who killed his daughter. Her death was clearly related to the strange disease at the hospital. Chang-ho shouted that he didn't want to be involved anymore, but Big Mouse warned him that if he gave up, he would die. Realizing there was no way out, Chang-ho proposed a new deal. Meanwhile, a riot broke out in the prison dormitory. Gan didn't have time to handle the chaos and ordered his men to eliminate Miho first. Outside, a guard overheard the conversation and passed the information to Big Mouse. At that moment, Miho was busy tending to the injured serial killer when she received an urgent call from her husband. She rushed to retrieve the important blood samples, only to be ambushed by an assassin. Luckily, the serial killer saved her in time. Gan seemed ready to finish the task himself, but Chang-ho intervened before he could pull the trigger. Soon, Park and Big Mouse arrived. The former warden, harboring a grudge against Gan, killed the traitor without hesitation. Soon, the guards surrounded the room and the situation grew tense. Now, it was time for Chang-ho to act. He called Ji-hoon and told him to come to the prison. He decided to give Mayor Choi a deadly warning. Chang-ho handcuffed Big Mouse and prepared to hand him over to the police. Earlier, he suggested using Big Mouse as bait to take down Choi. Only then could they eliminate the evil guys and avenge the innocent. Back to the present, Ji-hoon was excited as he was finally going to get his money back. Miho handed him the blood samples, saying they were bait to capture Big Mouse. Seeing this, Choi's face turned dark. Soon, Chang-ho was released and became Big Mouse's lawyer. The reporters found the developments very interesting. Chang-ho assured them he would fight for justice. Meanwhile, Ji-hoon couldn't wait to report his success to the elder. As a reward, Chairman Kang decided to give him shares in the company. When they were about to sign the contract, Ms. Hyun suddenly interrupted, urging the chairman to check the news. Chang-ho held a press conference, claiming he would find the mastermind behind Professor Seo's murder. It was clear that the person was Chairman Kang. He angrily smashed the remote control and tore up the share transfer contract. Ji-hoon, looking frustrated, promised to settle the matter properly. Chairman Kang warned him not to underestimate Chang-ho, as he had already caught Big Mouse. To investigate further, Miho secretly followed the prisoners working outside. Among them was the serial killer she had treated. The prisoners put on protective suits and entered a secret tunnel. Suddenly, pipes released an unknown gas, and everyone hurried to escape. Miho rushed to the tunnel and filmed the gas leak. Along the way, she helped several injured prisoners and finally encountered the serial killer. Just then, the pipe sprayed an unknown liquid. After hearing about the incident, Chairman Kang recalled an old memory. When developing NF9, a friend, Mr. Cho, had warned him that such research would lead to disaster. But for his own benefit, Chairman Kang continued with the project. He even killed Mr. Cho to keep the secret. Mayor Choi remained silent, as if hiding something. Soon, Chang-ho successfully bailed Big Mouse out of prison. They went to a restaurant that had already closed. Big Mouse told Chang-ho that it held memories of him and his daughter. But Chang-ho only wanted to know who had insisted on saving him. Big Mouse told him to come back tomorrow night, when he would reveal everything. However, as Chang-ho left the building, an explosion occurred. He entered the ruins to search for clues, but was attacked by an assassin. In a critical moment, Jerry appeared and dealt with the assassin. Facing the confused Chang-ho, Jerry explained that his mission was to protect him and his family. He then took Chang-ho to meet the organization's core members. There, they watched a video left by Big Mouse. He explained that if they saw the video, it meant he was dead, and someone must take his place. He announced that Chang-ho would be the new Big Mouse. Park suspected the video was faked and questioned who filmed it. At that moment, Soon-tae appeared and admitted it was him. His true identity was the second-in-command of the organization. He couldn't bear to see Chang-ho die unjustly and asked Big Mouse to save him. To uphold the law and justice, Chang-ho decided to temporarily take Big Mouse's position. Later, he asked about Big Mouse's daughter's fate. Soon-tae explained that she had been a journalist, but she disappeared while investigating Chairman Kang's company. 3 years later, the police found her body, and her notebook mentioned Professor Seo and his paper. The missing 100 billion won was also stolen by Peter Hong and his accomplice. But they didn't know that the accomplice was actually Mayor Choi. Meanwhile, Choi was attacked by an assassin at the gym. Using his remarkable skills, he managed to survive. The mastermind behind the attack was Park. He still refused to accept Chang-ho as the new leader. So, Soon-tae decided to take extreme measures. Park now had only 2 choices: obey the decision or die. He chose the latter. Chang-ho warned him not to act recklessly and disrupt their plans again. He admitted that he wasn't interested in being Big Mouse, and he would leave once he was done. In the hospital, Ms. Hyun discovered a terrifying secret hidden by the company. She warned Chairman Kang that the side effects of NF9 had reached their limit. Chairman Kang was furious and told her not to mention it again. However, Ms. Hyun secretly destroyed the secret lab. Her true goal was to build a new lab, but she needed funds to ensure everything went smoothly. So, Chairman Kang gave her all of Ji-hoon's shares. Ji-hoon panicked, but was powerless. He could only drown his sorrows with his friends over drinks. But soon, a surprise awaited him. Chang-ho tried to convince Ji-hoon to take him to see Chairman Kang, because he planned to run for mayor. In return, he promised to make Ji-hoon as powerful as Chairman Kang. Not long after, Chang-ho held a press conference announcing his candidacy for mayor. He also revealed that Mayor Choi had a secret relationship with a corrupt organization. After weighing the pros and cons, Ji-hoon chose to ally with Chang-ho and introduced him to Chairman Kang. Chang-ho lied, saying his family were being threatened by the new Big Mouse, and he was stronger and more vicious than his predecessor. He hoped Chairman Kang would support his bid for mayor. He was confident he could completely wipe out the Big Mouse organization. Chairman Kang remained skeptical until Chang-ho handed him a list with the names of the organization's executives. After seeing his sincerity, Chairman Kang said he needed to think it over, but he still invited Chang-ho to his birthday party the next night. Meanwhile, Miho, while investigating the chemical company, discovered some unusual clues. Chairman Kang's partner, Mr. Cho, had committed suicide without reason, and his son had been imprisoned for illegal wastewater discharge, also choosing to end his life. Strangely, Cho's grandson drowned 30 years ago. Now, Cho's only relative was his brother-in-law, who lived in a nursing home. Miho visited the elderly man with her father, but his mental state had completely deteriorated. He often shouted, "Save my grandson." The nurse explained that his grandson had drowned a long time ago. Just then, Mr. Go found out that the elderly man's legal guardian was Mayor Choi. Suddenly, Miho remembered that Choi had once told her his father owned a dye factory and often illegally discharged wastewater. It turned out that Choi was actually Mr. Cho's grandson. He assumed his cousin's identity and married Chairman Kang's closest adopted granddaughter. This was the only way he could get close to his enemy. To speed up his revenge plan, Choi tried to persuade Park to cooperate with him. He wanted to eliminate Chang-ho, the nuisance. On Chairman Kang's birthday, Miho attended the banquet as planned, but her husband was missing. At that moment, Mayor Choi looked excitedly at his tablet. Park had kidnapped Chang-ho and killed him without hesitation. Miho broke down instantly after hearing the tragic news. She tried to attack Choi, but he just laughed smugly. Choi arrived at the crime scene only to find bloodstains everywhere. Park explained he had disposed of Chang-ho's body. He then deliberately mentioned that Choi had been lurking around his enemies for years and even revealed his real name. Choi didn't deny it, but warned Park to watch his mouth. Unexpectedly, Chairman Kang witnessed the entire conversation, and Chang-ho was still alive. In reality, Park had been playing a double agent. He had teamed up with Chang-ho to set a trap, exposing Mayor Choi's true identity. Chairman Kang promised to grant Chang-ho anything he wanted, even the position of mayor. Meanwhile, after receiving a mysterious phone call, Choi quickly took action. He injected poison into the IV, letting Chairman Kang slowly die in pain. The traitor was none other than Chairman Kang's most trusted secretary. Afterward, they opened the safe and stole the will. Soon after, Choi held a grand funeral for Chairman Kang. The atmosphere became tense. Chang-ho and Choi were about to face off in the final showdown. Miho visited the serial killer to uncover the secret of the tunnel. He simply warned her not to do anything, as they were scary people. Before leaving, he advised her to seek medical help if she felt unwell. Unfortunately, Miho did get sick. She developed the same leukemia symptoms as the prisoners. Ji-hoon secretly met with Chairman Kang's lawyer, hoping to change the will. Even when he offered a substantial bribe, the lawyer firmly refused. Soon, the day came to announce the will. The lawyer declared that Chairman Kang left half of his assets to Ms. Hyun and the other half to Choi. No one could believe their ears. The meeting room descended into chaos, while Mayor Choi smugly left. That evening, Choi decided to reveal a big secret to his wife. However, it was all a carefully crafted lie. He confessed his true identity, claiming Chairman Kang had known everything. Out of guilt toward his grandfather, Chairman Kang had left everything to him. Moved by his emotional performance, Ms. Hyun accepted everything and even felt more sympathy for her husband. Soon after, Choi publicly announced his candidacy for the next mayor. He used Chairman Kang's connections to create a media frenzy and rally votes. Meanwhile, Chang-ho also fully committed to the election preparations. However, Miho received bad news. After a thorough checkup, the doctor told her she was in the late stages of cancer and needed chemotherapy immediately. Miho, knowing her time was limited, chose to hide the truth and cherish her time with her husband. The next day, Choi held a company meeting to campaign for the election. Ji-hoon tried to persuade others to oppose them. Ms. Hyun warned Ji-hoon that if he didn't cooperate, she would call a board meeting to dismiss him. With no other choice, Ji-hoon met with Chang-ho and gave him some information to use against Choi. He revealed that Chairman Kang had a son living in the U.S. This guy was a severe psychopath, and even his father wanted to kill him. But he has the right to demand Choi return part of the inheritance. Meanwhile, the serial killer died in the hospital. His sister told Miho that he was innocent. He had taken the fall for a rich psychopath because they needed the money to treat their mother. Furious, Miho stormed into the director's office, warning her to stop what she was doing. Ms. Hyun mocked her, saying she was still hung up on that useless obsession. Miho swore she would expose their crimes until her death. Meanwhile, Choi learned that Chang-ho had lost a case about cryptocurrency fraud months ago. To defeat his rival, Choi devised a scheme. Soon, the fraudster confessed to bribing Chang-ho 500 million won to intentionally lose the case in court. Seeing her husband in trouble, Mi-ho felt heartbroken. Late at night, she felt unwell again. Suddenly, she remembered that unknown liquid had sprayed from a pipe in the tunnel. The pipe came from a nearby fish farm. The next day, Chang-ho and Choi participated in a televised debate, while Mi-ho and Jerry investigated the fish farm. After some friendly exchange, the manager confessed everything. During the NF9 extraction process, wastewater mixed with radioactive substances was produced. The fish farm was built to discharge this wastewater into the sea. Anyone who comes into contact with this water would develop fatal diseases. After recording the video, Mi-ho immediately rushed to the studio with the evidence. Upon receiving the news, the bad guys sent thugs to stop them. However, the police were members of the Big Mouse organization. They escorted Mi-ho, helping her reach her destination faster. Mi-ho grabbed the microphone and revealed to everyone that she was a victim of the radiation leaked by the chemical company. She then played a video of the fish farm, exposing the truth. Everyone fell into panic except for Chang-ho, who sadly watched his wife. After the live broadcast, he tightly embraced his wife, constantly apologizing. The next day, citizens gathered outside the prosecutor's office, demanding Choi withdraw from the election. However, Choi remained unfazed, as he blamed all the crimes on the late Chairman Kang. In the end, he was acquitted. Ji-hoon always suspected there was something suspicious about Chairman Kang's death. He got permission from Chairman Kang's son and decided to perform an autopsy. Chang-ho informed Ms. Hyun of the news and hoped she would make the right choice. However, Ms. Hyun never believed her husband was the murderer until his secretary confirmed it. Despite the scandals, Choi still won the election and continued to serve as mayor. Chang-ho's team was very disappointed, but Mi-ho encouraged everyone to stay optimistic. Just then, she received a package from Ms. Hyun. Inside was an illegal phone used by Choi. Chang-ho immediately contacted Ms. Hyun, hoping she would testify in court that the phone belonged to Choi. Ms. Hyun hesitated, but agreed. However, on the day of the trial, Ms. Hyun was nowhere to be found. At that moment, Chairman Kang's secretary falsely testified that the phone belonged to the late Chairman Kang. It turned out Choi had discovered his wife's betrayal and locked her in a mental hospital. In the end, the judge declared Choi not guilty. Mi-ho fainted from anger at the verdict. Her health continued to worsen, while Chang-ho stayed by her side until the end of her life. Soon after, Chang-ho bought the gym where Choi often swam. He told Choi that he would punish him in his own way. Choi didn't take him seriously and mocked him as a failure. The next moment, blood spurted from his mouth. Chang-ho explained that the pool was filled with radioactive toxic water, enough to kill. In the end, all the evil guys paid the price they deserved, and Chang-ho led the organization down the path of justice.